Okay. Mem Daled and Aleph on the top. Tana Rabbanan. Chilazon zehu gufo dome liyam, ubiyaso dome ledag, ve'ola echel shivim shana, uvidamo tzov in techeles, lefichach dama v'yikarim. So we say that this chilazon, dome liyam, this color of the guf, is similar to the sea. Its anatomy is similar to a dog, and we know that there's been much discussion as to whether it's really similar to a dog or to a snail. It comes up on land once every 70 years. With its blood, again, another discussion, is it really with its blood or is it just with what's inside? There's a shell inside. Maybe it's not actually the blood, but with its blood you color the tchelas. And therefore, because it only comes onto land once every 70 years, even though you can catch it during the other 69 years, but since it only comes onto land once every 70 years, it's very expensive. Damav, money, yikarim, is very expensive. Third line, Mem Daled Amud Aleph. Tanya, Amar Rabbi Nasan, Ein lecha kol mitzvah kala sheksua b'Torah, shein matan schara be'olam hazeh le'olam haben yodea kama. There's no mitzvah, even an easy mitzvah, which is in the Torah, that you don't get reward in this world, and you get in the next world as well, and the next world is even more. Tzeu lemad mi mitzvah tzitzis. Go and see from the mitzvah of tzitzis. What's the mitzvah of tzitzis? It's a mitzvah kala because it's only an asay. Listen to this story. Interesting story. There was a man who was very careful with tzitzis. He heard that there was a harlot across the Yam who took 400 zehuvim coins as a schar. So he was interested, so he sent her 400 zehuvim. So when the time came, he came to the door. And if you look at the back of the Gemaras and you look at all the Rishonim, I'm sure that there's a lot of discussion as to why do you have to tell me all these details. He sat at the front and the servant came. So the harlot says that the person who sent you 400 zehuvim kasev is sitting at the door. Amrahi, she said, Yikanes, let him come in. Nichnatz, he came in. Hitziolot zayin mitos. So she prepared for him 7 beds. Sheish shel kasev v'achat shel zahav. 6 made out of silver. Seemingly it's talking about the sheets. Silver sheets and 1 of gold sheets. Uvein kol achas v'achat sulam shel kasef elyona shel zahav. And between each one there was a silver ladder, and the top one was a gold ladder. Also, v'yashval kisei elyona agabi elyona kshiaruma. So she sat on the top gold bed, and she was not wearing any clothing. V'afu ala leishev aram kenegda. And he went up to sit next to her. Bold out says Yosef v'tafchu lo apanav. As he was walking up the ladder, the 4 tzitzis hit him in the face. V'nishmat v'yashal lo agabi karka. And he slipped off the ladder and he fell onto the ground. And somehow v'afi nishmata v'yashal agabi karka. She also slipped down the ladder and fell on the floor. Amar lo, so she said to him, Gufa shel Romi. That was a way of swearing by the Tsar of Rome. She'eni manichascha shetomer li ma murmur isabi. You really must think that I'm ugly if you're willing to fall off the ladder, not to have to come to be with me. So what do you see that makes you unattracted to me? Amar la ha'avodah, that's the way that a Jew swears, by the avodah, by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shelo ra'isi isha yafeh k'mosech. I never saw anybody as beautiful as you. Ela mitzvah achas ivani Hashem lokeinu v'tzitzis shema. There's a mitzvah that Hashem commanded us, and its name is tzitzis. Uchsiv ba'ani Hashem lokeichem shtei pamim. And it says, I am Hashem twice. Anihu sha'atidin lipar, v'anihu sha'atid lishalim schar. I'm the one who's going to go ahead and punish you at the end of days, and I'm the one who's going to give you schar. Achshav nidmu alai gedalit edim. These 4 strings of the tzitzis, or these 4 corners of the tzitzis, now are going to act as 4 edim if I go ahead and I'm with you. Amar lo, so she said, Eini manichat shetomer li ma shemecha. So the harlot says to him, well, okay, now you can leave, but you can't leave until me tell you your name. Umashe miracha. What's the name of your city? Umashe brabcha. What's your Rebbe's name? Umashe midracha she'ata lomed batorah. What's the name of your yeshiva? In case I want to call them and just say hello, please give me your information. I don't know. Again, I can't say what I would have done, but I would have probably ran out of there. Kasav and nasam biyad. So he gave her all that information. Fascinating. Amda v'chilka chol nisachel. Then she went ahead and she split up all of her nisachim. Shlish l'malchus. She gave 1/3 to the malchus. Why? Because she needed to bribe them to let her go and convert. Because she was the harlot on call for the government, and therefore she couldn't just run away. They're going to come after her. So she has to give them a bribe so that she can go ahead and do her own thing and go on her merry way. Ushlish lanim, she gave a third of her money and wealth to poor people. She made a lot of money after all. Ushlish not labiyad, and she kept a third for herself. The only thing she didn't keep or give away was chotan me'otam matzos, chutz me'osam matzos, shubat lebei midrash Rabbi Chia. Except for the bedding, seemingly. She came with the bedding to the base medrash of Rabbi Chia. This story is quite interesting. Amar lo. So she said to him, Rabbi, hi, who are you? Tziva lai v'yasuni gyoros, I'd like to convert. Amar la biti shemay necha natata be'echa min hatamidim. Maybe you're coming to convert because you want to marry one of my students? Hotzia ksav miyada v'nasnalosh. He told her the whole story. She told him the whole story. Can't imagine what the other Talmud would have thought. So the Rebbe hears the whole story, and she says, I'm doing it lishma, and he believes her. Amar la, so he says to her, Lechi zachi b'mekachecha. You can go marry this guy. Go marry the Talmud, the prize Talmud. Osam atzosh etzilo be'isser etzilo be'heter. And the same mattresses and the same sheets that would have been usher to him beforehand when he went to her as a harlot, now became mutter to him as he married her. This is the matan schar for wearing tzitzis in this world. Because he was wearing the tzitzis, he was saved, and he even got to marry the harlot. And I can't tell you how much schar there is for tzitzis in the next world. As I said, don't try this at home. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda. Very interesting story. Okay. It's a little bit even more intense. He didn't end up marrying her. He died. He cried. He ended up marrying her. She came to the base medrash. Certain elements are the same, yes. Yeah, it's just still interesting. Yeah.
And also it sounds like you heard in Tamar a little.
Yeah. Okay, so then maybe do try it at home. Amar Rav Yehuda, Talis She'ula. What do you want me to say? Talis She'ula. Kol shloshim yom patur min hatzitzis. It's good that nobody's going to watch this one anyway. So all 30, by the time it gets uploaded, it'll only be like 4 dafs later, and that's it. Kol shloshim yom patur min hatzitzis. So if you borrow a talis without tzitzis on it, you borrow a 4-cornered garment. So for 30 days, you don't have to put on tzitzis because it's not yours. You may give it back. Mikan ve'ela chayaves. Once it's 30 days, we assume that he's not taking it back from you, and now you're chayiv to put on tzitzis. Tani nami hachi. We have the same thing by mezuzah. Hadar chayaves. You're chayiv. So maybe the beged is chayaves. The beged is chayaves and tzitzis.
Speaking about the beged, not you.
Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't medayik in the lashon, but interesting. But it means that you're chayiv to put on the beged. I mean, if we go back to that whole machlokas about whether the beged is chayiv, if the beged is chayiv, then you have to put on right away. Seemingly you're chayiv to put on tzitzis. Yeah. Talis she'ula. It sounds like chayaves, right? It's going on the talis. The talis would be chayaves and tzitzis only then, after 30 days in your possession. Tani nami hachi hadar bepundiki b'Eretz Yisrael. If you live in an inn or in a hotel in Eretz Yisrael, v'asocher bayis b'chutz aretz. If you rent a house in chutz aretz, kol shloshim yom patur min hamezuzah. For the first 30 days, you're patur min hamezuzah. Mikan ve'ela chayav. After 30 days, you're chayav because you may not want to stay in that place. It may not be yours. Shema yachzir bo aval asocher bayis b'Eretz Yisrael. But if you rent a house in Eretz Yisrael, osem bezuzah la'altum mishum yishuv Eretz Yisrael. But if you rent a house in Eretz Yisrael, you need to put it up right away because of yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Why? What does it mean? Because Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. So Rashi says because once you put up the mezuzahs, there's going to be less of a chance that you're going to go ahead and leave. We don't want you leaving. And even if you leave and you put up the mezuzahs already, then you're going to be more likely to give it to a Jew because you're not allowed to take the mezuzahs off with you. So you're going to be more likely that another Jew will move in. So because of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, either because of you or the next person, we want to make sure. There's a little bit of a misunderstanding. If you buy a house in Chutz Aretz, you have to put up the mezuzah right away. The 30 days only applies if you rent a house in Chutz Aretz. When you buy a house in Chutz Aretz, you don't have 30. People always think, oh, I have 30 days to put up the mezuzah. No. I'm talking about when you're renting, you might be choser, you may not want to keep it, so that you have 30 days. But when you buy a house in Chutz Aretz, and for sure in Eretz Yisrael, because even when you rent in Eretz Yisrael, but when you buy a house in Chutz Aretz, you have to put up a mezuzah right away. Says the Gemara, Tefillah shel yad eina ma'akeves. So if you have a tefillin shel yad, and you want to put it on without the tefillin shel rosh, that's okay, and vice versa. Obviously, better to put on both. Amar Rav Chisda lo shanu ala sheyesh lo aval ein lo ma'akeves. Very interesting. Rav Chisda says if you only have one, then you can't put it on. If you have both and you only put on one, even though you should put on both, if you have both and you put on one, then it's okay. But you have to have both. Why? Amar lo amarta, did you say this? Amar lo, it sounds like he was choser. Elaman delesle tri mitzvah chad mitzvah nami lo. Just because you can't do two, I'm going to tell you can't do one. Of course you can do one. So what was the havamina? That if you don't have it, you can't put it on. Umeikara maisavar. What was a havamina? Gzeira shema yipasha. What was a havamina? The original thought was that if I tell you, you could put on one without the other, so you're a smart Jew who wants to save money, you're going to go to the store and you're going to say, do you happen to have any tefillin shel yads? Oh, the set, no, I don't need the shel rosh. So we're saying we're not worried you're going to do that. Or even if you do that, and it's not l'chadchila, at the end of the day, we still want you to do whatever you're going to do. And therefore, that was a havamina. The havamina was that we would say you can't put on one without the other if you don't own both, because we're afraid you're only going to buy one. So we're in the maskana that we're not worried you're going to do that, but therefore, even if you don't have both, you can put on one. But for sure, even if you have both, you can put on only one, but best to put on both. Says the Gemara, Amar Sheshes Kol Sheinu Meniach Tefillin over b'shmona asay. If you don't put on tefillin, you're over 8 asays. Rashi gives 2 pshatim. There's 4 parshuts we said with tefillin. Each parsha talks about the shel yad and shel rosh. That's 8. 4 for the shel yad and 4 for the shel rosh. Or he doesn't talk about 2 parshas. He says that each one of the tefillin contains the 4 parshas in it. So each parsha you'd be yotei another mitzvah 4. That's the second understanding, or the first understanding. Therefore, if I only put on this, if I don't put on the shel rosh or shel yad, I missed 8. I missed the 4 parshas here and the 4 parshas here by putting on. If I put them on, then I get 8 mitzvahs as says. That's 2 ways to understand it. Says the Gemara. If you don't put on tzitzis, you're over chamisha asay. This is what I'm talking about. You get an asay every single minute that you're wearing the tzitzis. Even if you get around by not putting on a 4-cornered garment, you still get 8. You still get 5 mitzvahs asays every minute that you're wearing a 4-cornered garment. It says in because it says 5 different times. V'asu v'natnu v'hayu v'isem gedim tatzachas. There's no mitzvahs los asay if you don't put on tzitzis because you're not wearing a 4-cornered garment. But if you wear a 4-cornered garment, you get 5 mitzvos every second. 5 mitzvos every second. If you don't go up to duchen, you're a kohen, then you're over on 4 asay, 3 asays. If you don't have mezuzah on your pesach, you're over 2 asays. Uchsaftam. For Amar Reish Lakish, kol miniach tefillin marach yamim shene'amar. Flip the page. Memdal mebeis. Anybody who puts on tefillin has long life. And it says, Vashem aleihem yichyu. If you have Hashem on you, you're going to live. Hashem's going to heal me. Hashem's going to make you live long if you wear your tefillin.
But we don't hold that way.
The what?
We only say that by the 3 other mitzvahs, there's a riches yomim.
How we hold? What do you mean?
Like keep it out the aim.
We say the Torah says that by kibbut avim and shilach hakein.
Right.
But the Gemara is telling you that that tefillin's part of that picture also.
And that pasuk is.
It's brought down la'alacha. It says. Yeah, but it's brought down la'alacha. It's brought down in the Shulchan Aruch Lamed Zayin Sif Aleph. That if you go ahead and you wear tefillin, you'll have marach yamim. Yeah. So it's not meforish in the Torah, but it's in the Navi. Says the Gemara, we know that there's something called a minchas nisachim. Minchas nisachim is a korban mincha that's brought, which is shemen and what? It's shemen and flour, and it's brought with nisachim, with a wine libation, but it's brought with other korbanos usually. Let's say for our purposes with the korban musaf. So you bring the korban musaf, then you bring the minchas nisachim. So you're basically bringing 3 things. You bring the korban musaf, then you bring the korban mincha with a libation. So the question is, hasolas v'ashemen ein ma'akvan et hayayin v'lo hayayin ma'akvan. Let's say you only have the mincha part of the minchas nesachim, or you only have the nesachim part of the minchas nesachim. Can you bring the mincha part, the shemen and the flour, without the wine? And can you bring the wine without the shemen and the flour? The Gemara says yes. The Mishnah says yes. And the second thing it says, we know you're supposed to sprinkle 4 times on the mizbeach hachitzon with the chata. So if you only sprinkle once, better to sprinkle 4 times. If you only sprinkle once, you're yotzei the sprinklings. Tana Rabbanan. The Torah says, Umin chasav v'niskehem havei mincha v'achach havei nesachim. You should go ahead and you should bring the mincha and then the nesachim. It says, Umin chasav v'niskehem. When you bring in this combination of minchas nesachim, when you bring in the korban mincha with the nesachim, again, after another korban, as we'll see. So you bring the mincha and then the nesachim. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Omer, Zavach u'nesachim. There's another thing that says Zavach u'nesachim d'rayo biyobo, which implies what? You bring the Zavach, which is the korban, then the nesachim, and then what? And then the mincha. So the first one says, it clearly says, Minchatam v'niskem. You bring the mincha, then the nesachim. But then he says, but you have another pasuk, Rabbi says, which I hold like, that says Zavach u'nesachim. Right, the first opinion would agree that you bring the zevach first. Everybody agrees you bring the zevach first. But the first opinion says, then you bring the mincha, then the nesachim. Then you bring the oil and flour, and then you bring the wine. According to this, it says, no, zevach u'nesachim. Right after the korban, you bring the nesachim, the wine, and only then do you bring the mincha.
What?
Is there a mincha in that
pasuk?
It doesn't say the word mincha in that pasuk. No.
Not here in the Gemara, but in the...
No, I don't think so. But Rabbi nami haksivu min chasav niskem. What's Rabbi going to do with that pasuk min chasav niskem? He says it's lav dafka, and it's teaching you something else. Hahumi ba'ila min chasav niskem balayla min chasav niskem afilu lemachar. He uses that min chasav niskem. It's not dafka to tell you the order. It would only be that it's the order if it's coming specifically to tell you the order. It's coming to tell you something else. Why does it say min chasav niskem twice? To teach you two things. You bring the korban musaf during the day. You usually bring the mincha and the nesachim afterwards. Which order according to Rebbe? First the nesachim, then the mincha. What's mincha sam v'niskehem? Teaching me two things. That if I don't bring it right after the korban musaf, that's okay. I could bring the musaf during the day, and then bring the mincha and the nesachim the following night. Or even bring the mincha and the nesachim the following morning. So this mincha and nesachim, the fact that mincha comes before nesachim in this pasuk is not important. Don't worry about that. It can only be medayik in the lashon if you're using it specifically to tell me the order. But if I'm using it to teach me something else, I'm not going to be medayik in the order, and I'm just going to say it's teaching me something else, but don't be medayik in the order. You want to know the order? Zavach nesachim. But mincha sam miskehem is teaching me something else. So you could bring the mincha and the nesachim the following night or the following day. You don't like it. Says the Gemara, "V'Rabbanan nami yaksiv zevach u'nesachim." 1 second. But according to the Rabbanan who say that you bring what? That you bring the mincha and then the nesachim. It says zevach u'nesachim. You bring the korban and specifically right after you bring the nesachim. What are they going to do? They're going to say also don't make any diyukim in the lashon. Hahumi bar leilech deziri. Zevach u'nesachim tells me something else. Da'amar zeiri ein nesachim iskachin ele b'shchitas hazevach. Very interesting. It says if I set aside nesachim, and Rashi seems to add the mincha as well, but if I set aside a wine libation for this korban, I could still change it until I actually shech the korban. Zavach u'nesachim doesn't teach me the order, similar to the other, when Rebbe says min chasav niskem doesn't teach me the order, it teaches me something else. If it teaches me something else, I can't be medayik in the order so much. What did it say? Zavach u'nesachim, that if I set aside a certain wine for this korban, I can still change my mind and set it aside for another korban as long as I haven't shechted the korban yet. Once I shech the korban, I can no longer change and use this nesachim for something else. So both of them are learning the other guy thing which he claims is the right order for something else. There's only one problem, that they all agree to all three of those halachas. So how can you say that, what's he going to do? It's a very nice, he uses it for that, but then how's he going to know this? So they all need to know each other. So says the Gemara, Rabbi nami mi ba'ilei lechidiziri, v'Rabbanan nami ba'ilei min chasav niskem balayla min chasav niskem afilu machar, elahainu taimi d'Rabbanan. We must throw out the suggestion. Really, you can't learn the order from any three of these psukim, because all three of these psukim are needed for other things. To tell you could bring the minchas and the nesachim at night, the following morning, and that the nesachim and really the mincha as well, as Rashi adds, are only set for that korban once you bring the korban. So where do we know the order again? So let's go back to the original question. Why is it mincha and then nesachim according to the Tanakama, and it's nesachim and then mincha according to Rebbe? Says Rabbanan. Why is it mincha and then nesachim? Dichsiv ola mincha, because it clearly says you bring the ola, and right after it you bring the mincha. Very clear. V'Rebbe nami haksiv ola mincha. Now what's Rebbe going to say? Now he's stuck. It clearly says ola, the korban, and then the mincha, and then seemingly what? And then the nesachim. That's what the Rabbanan say. What's Rebbe going to do with that? Ella b'bayim imazeva dekuli amalo pligi. You're right. Rebbe's going to agree that when it's zevach, he's going to agree that when it's ola, it's ola mincha. When you bring all three together, when you bring the musaf and the mincha and the nesachim together, the pasuk clearly tells you ola mincha. The order is ola, bring the musaf, then bring the mincha, then bring the nesachim. And everybody agrees to that. So what are they arguing about in our Mishnah? Where does Rebbe say that you bring the nesachim first? If you don't bring the ola and then the mincha and the nesachim. If you bring the ola today, we just said that everybody agrees that you could bring it today, the korban, and then tonight you could bring the mincha and the nesachim. Or tomorrow you could bring the mincha and the nesachim. If you bring them all together, it says clearly in the pasuk, ola mincha. You bring the ola, then the mincha, then the nesachim. But let's say you decide to bring, for whatever reason, you don't have it, you bring the mincha tonight, or you bring the mincha tomorrow, then the Rabbanan are going to say you still bring the mincha first, ola during the day, then the mincha at night, followed directly by the nesachim. Comes along Rebbe and says, no, that's only if you bring them all together. But if you bring the mincha at night or the next day, then you bring the ola during the day, then first you bring the nesachim at night, and then you bring the mincha afterwards. What's this based on? Because it says olo mincha, that's only talking about when you bring them all together. Ki pligi bebayin b'bifnei atzman. Rabbanan savri mi debayin im azevach mincha ve'achach nesachim b'fnei atzman mincha ve'achach nesachim. So Rabbanan say it's a low plug. Once the pasuk is telling me olo mincha, that when you bring them together, you do the ola, then the mincha, then the nesachim. Even if I'm doing the mincha and the nesachim at another time, I first do the mincha and then the nesachim. What is the Rebbe going to say? V'Rebbe chasamu da'ayde da'achil ba'achila gomer lalakula milsa da'achila. No, the reason you're bringing the ola and the mincha, he's using svara. What's the reason the Torah tells you ola mincha? Because what's the mizbeach doing to the ola? It's eating it. What's the mizbeach doing to the mincha? It's eating it. What's the mizbeach doing to the nesachim? It's drinking it. So you bring the two things that it's eating it together. It eats the ola, then you bring the mincha, which it eats, then you bring the nesachim. But if you're not bringing them together, now all of a sudden you don't have to say that I'm bringing the one that's eating right after the one that's eating. So Lamai says, so why do I bring then the nesachim first? So you haven't told me why. You've told me why I don't necessarily have to bring the mincha first, but why do I bring the nesachim first then? Says Rabbi, aval b'fnei atzman nesachim adifei hoel demit amra shira alayhu. Because the Leviim sing the shira when you bring the nesachim, therefore it's more chashav. It's not chashav enough that if you're going to bring, right, you have a pasuk. The pasuk trumps everything. Olo mincha. You bring the ola. If you're bringing the mincha at the same time, you bring the mincha and then the nesachim. But if you're bringing the ola and then the mincha and the nesachim at another time, then the nesachim comes first because the Leviim sing shira over the nesachim. So each one explains. The Rabbanan will say low plug, just like you do it beforehand. So too, if you do it together, so too if you do it separately, a low plug, we're not going to make a difference. You're going to bring the mincha and then the nesachim. And the Rebbe says, no, I agree that if you bring them all together, it's ola, mincha, nesachim. But if you bring them separately, and you bring the ola in the morning and the mincha and nesachim at night, then the nesachim comes by itself, comes first, because it's more chashuv that they sing shira. Yes?
Maybe it's not relevant, but this was established before the Zman of Mincha? In other words, Mincha I thought was this, not only a korban, but also time of the day that you brought the korban.
It sounds like, I thought it was based on the
We daven Mincha, we daven Mincha.
right, that's based on the tefillah, that's based on the korban shel bein arbayim. That's not based on the korban mincha. It's based on that's not based on the korban shel bein arbayim. We bring a korban tamid in the morning, and bring a korban bein arbayim. The
mincha at any time.
That's what it sounds like. The
I
mincha
thought
is
there was a time for the mincha.
no, the korban bein arbayim. There's a time. That's the korban. That's the one that we refer to as mincha. This korban mincha is not the mincha that we refer to as mincha. Says the Gemara, Hamatano sha'al mizbeach achito ne'mak v'zuedzu. If you sprinkle on the mizbeach achito, and we said that one is not going, it's not lechatchila, but if you only do one, you're yotzei. Where do you see in the pasuk that if you only do one, you're going to be yotzei? The dam of your zvachim you will spill in the singular on the mizbeach of Hashem Elokecha. Okay, he said that the one who's giving tomorrow will pick up here tomorrow. Jacob Friedman.